So as you can see here, this is my balayage client. She is second time returning to me. Previously she had a ombre, which was more of a block blonde. Whenever clients come to me for a colour, they will have a 15-minute free consultation beforehand to discuss where it is where they want their hair to be, what they want it to look like, and how we're going to achieve that. Now, as you can see, to achieve this look, I am using triangular sections, and this creates a far more natural blended look. Obviously, because it's a returning client as well, I don't have to go in as thoroughly. We are just touching up those small areas at the top just to kind of bring that balayage back up. When using lightener for balayage, when it's open air, I will use Light Master with a clay additive, and that just makes it a really good texture for freehand. It's not too wet, and it lies on the hair and it sort of almost solidifies and creates like a cocoon to make sure that the hair lightens thoroughly. I do use 30 volt, but not without Bond Automate, which is our matrix version of Olaplex. So it's protecting the hair as it's lifting. So in between my sections, generally, as my sections get smaller, and thinner, because I want to create less dimension coming up through the top to create that more blended look. I will start to use cling film, and that will make sure that my sections aren't going to bleed into one another. This is more of just to make sure that it's a nice application. If I am to provide more lift, I'll pack out with foil, because of course that's going to create more heat and therefore create a higher lift. However, this client is only a base 8, so we don't need to insulate. It's going to lift lovely anyway. You can see I am using the tip of my brush just to feather up those lines to create that real precision balayage, which creates those really nice grown out highlight look. I'm using lots of different looks, so I'm using the brush to really get that application, get a strong application of lightener on, but I'm also using my fingers just to brush up that lightener. Sometimes I use a dry brush. It really depends on what kind of application I'm doing, and it depends what look the client is going for. There's lots of different application methods, blending tools, and again methods in the same notion, um, that I will use. And of course, you can see me just applying that cling film on there to create that separation. So you can see here that we've moved to the top section. In this section, I'm again using that triangular sectioning method all the way through the hair. We're also creating more dimension through the top because it was still quite heavy, and she just wanted to see a little bit more natural dimension in the hair. So with that, I'm using a quasi, which is Matrix Colour Sync 8 neutral, just to create that more natural dimension. And as you'll see, I will also go in and just kind of touch up those blonde areas and just create more balayage through there as well. As you can see, I'm always really blending that colour in. I'm making sure that there's plenty of colour on, but that it's also super blended to create that really natural look, because we don't want lines, we want it to look super natural. We want the client to feel like she can go as long as possible in between her appointments, because that is the whole intention of a balayage treatment. Now this process takes me around 30 minutes to an hour in total application, and then depending on levels of lift and development times vary. Generally between 20 and 40 minutes it will take for development, and then obviously cut and finish afterwards. And that is the final section of the colouring process. We left that for 20 minutes to process, because obviously we were only lifting for 2 levels, so it didn't need a great deal of time, especially with 30 volume on. And as you can see, this is now the final look. This is the top back section. You can see it's lovely, naturally blended. You can see that dimension with the 8 neutral coming through, the lovely blend as well. So to neutralise any excess of tone, there was a lot of yellow. I used 10 violets in our Quasi range, which is Colour Sync, and sheer pastel ash, just to give that little bit, just to lift it that slight amount. I used 10 because it was a slight more violet tone, obviously to neutralise the yellow, and just drop that ash in just to neutralise any old unwanted warmth. Then we are going to move to the front area, where you will see a steel frame at the front, just that beautiful blended natural area from that cross section that I took at the top with the 8 neutral as well.